Good evening and welcome to Branded Gunslinger Posse for June 18th, 2025, brought to you by South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital. I'm your host, Ralph Judkins. I'll be joined in just a bit by Jonathan Bain on a show all about the San Antonio Gunslingers of the Indoor Football League. We welcome your comments in the comments section, and of course, you doing all of the social media things like liking and subscribing and so forth. Well, tonight, this is a special show. Thank you, Joshua, for saying hello to me. Tonight is a show all about football, just football. I'm going to tell why you, as an American, are absolutely correct to be a fan of football. Buying those tickets, going to those games, and further celebrating the team and the players by owning, wearing, and displaying merchandise. For some, this will only be a reminder. For others, this just might be a revelation. To help me tonight, I will have on later, as I mentioned, a man who many of you will recognize as a very good example of a football player. For now, let me make my argument. As always, feel free to respond in the comments section. Every society we admire as Americans adopted or created a test of a very specific virtue needed in emergencies, most commonly in times of war. This virtue is personal courage, the capacity to endure without avoidance or complaint tremendous amounts of every kind of discomfort in service of a purpose greater than oneself. Lacrosse was one such test amongst Native Americans. The young men would play the game to prove their personal courage and thus their individual worthiness and value to their society. This test was then and is now an absolute necessity. Why? Because the worst possible moment to find out that an individual does not possess enough personal courage, the worst possible time to find out is on a battlefield where the survival of your society is at stake. American football is such a test. And I say that today to you. Perhaps it is the greatest such test ever created. My proof is the undisputed success of the United States at making war, preserving the peace that comes after, and overcoming every kind of adversity ever since football became popular. And this is why we, as Americans, rightly celebrate this game and those who play it at the highest level. Not only because these players would make excellent warriors, because almost to a man they would, but also because they show us that we as a nation are still producing men who can pass this test of personal courage. A society that is producing men who are willing to publicly play this game has nothing to fear in adversity. They will overcome it. And that's why you cheer. Because football is proof that our society will endure. It will do so protected by those who possess personal courage and give it in service to America. The game is played, and that is the embodiment of that proof. But why sports? And why specifically football? America discovered during mobilization for the First World War that over 10% of men considered for service were unable to meet the known physical demands of war, mostly due to poor nutrition. Let's face it, hungry people never fight well. So we began including physical education and nutrition as part of public education. Along with PE came team sports. Team sports developed the interpersonal skills needed to win collectively. And we as Americans collectively chose one sport to be our very public final exam of a young man's potential to bear the burdens of war or any burden at all. This sport was the most combative of all team sports, where players were expected to collide without regard for injuries caused. This sport is what the world calls now American football. We simply call it football. Look, it's our national test after all. We will call it what we want. And this is what you are cheering at every middle school, at every high school football game. You bear witness to your young men in your community passing a crucial test of their virtue again and again and again. You cheer them like they just graduated from high school. They prove they have the necessary personal courage to endure so that America itself will endure. You may cheer the winners more, but you know deep down that America itself, you may know deep down that your team won't win every game, just as you know America won't win the first battle every time, or even every battle every time. But we will ultimately win. Why? Every struggle can ultimately be won by America because our young men can endure and win this game. So who won the game last night? America's did. Who will win next week? Americans win. Americans will win again. Every single time football is played. So who will overcome in times of crisis and emergency? Kick off already. Let's play football.
All right, team, huddle up. Just like in surgery, we need precision and teamwork. Trust me, just like on the field, if we stick to the playbook, we'll achieve excellence.
Coach, are you sure about this?
We've trained for this. We're experts. The San Antonio Gunslingers in South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital and Outpatient Center, where precision meets performance.
Dependability. It's expected by our customers, and it's demanded by me. I personally guarantee the certified techs we send to your home and the equipment we install are dependable. John Wayne's American Pride comfort systems are designed specifically for San Antonio's extreme heat and humidity and come with a lifetime warranty. For comfort you can depend on, call John Wayne today.
John Wayne Service Company is a proud sponsor of the San Antonio Gunslingers.
And welcome back to Branded for the start of the second quarter. Welcome to the stage, the aforementioned Jonathan Bain, Coach Bain, with us tonight as we are talking football. And as I was putting together the show, I really couldn't think of anyone else that I knew in my Rolodex that I could get on this show who embodied all those things I talked about as far as personal courage. You were the first person that came to mind. I don't think everyone understands or knows fully your story and your road to here. And and that's kind of what I wanted to get into tonight, getting a chance to people to actually know who the heck Jonathan Bain is and how football and Jonathan Bain are connected. And I'm not sure where the disconnect is, actually, if there is a disconnect between you and football.
Yeah, no, it's been a huge part of my life. And you kind of hit the nail on the head, just kind of the adversity you go through, and what football has taught me, and how to handle situations. Yeah, you see it in life daily. Adversity comes in many different ways, and it's never the same for anybody, but adversity is adversity. And just the fact that just having to overcome that in the game of football has taught me so much about it. And I can always appreciate that.
Well, before I let you talk anymore, because you're going to start answering some of the questions I have, let's get into it.
All right.
First part of Joshua Puga saying hi, Coach Jonathan Bain.
How you doing, Josh?
And so how did you become aware of football, this sport called football? Can you remember a time before you were aware of football and when you first were aware of it?
I think just being born in America, being born in Texas, being born in the family that I was raised in, football was always a thing. Having two older brothers that, came before me and played ball, that was their life too. And so ever since I can ever remember, football has always been around.
Okay, then that might make the second question a little easier. When did you first play any version of football, and who with? When was the first time somebody threw a football to you, or you were invited to do anything that was football-ish? And I'm imagining it involved the older brothers.
Absolutely. I bet they were, I can't remember as far as being the baby, but I'm sure they were throwing footballs at me there at the house. We were a pretty rough bunch. But yeah, absolutely. Ever since I started walking, they've been playing ball. And I always wanted to try to, hang around them and do what they do. And just always kind of had a love for it. And as I grew older, I really started to appreciate it, and kind of what you touched on earlier, just all the life lessons you kind of learn through football. And we're going to keep piggybacking on it, is all the adversity you face in many different situations, and just how to adapt and overcome, and finding a way,
We're gonna get to all of that, because I want to know who or what, if you can remember, who encouraged you to play organized football. It might be a shorter list to say who didn't encourage you to play organized football.
Yeah.
Do you remember who first encouraged you?
I would say, honestly, probably my brothers, my two older brothers. I always, love sports. I love to compete. I'd like to think in anything that keeps a score. I'm a huge competitor. But just having them always play, and they played every sport. But to be honest with you, completely, whenever I was really young, like I said, I love to compete, but I wasn't just sold out to football. I just wanted to do anything that involved, throwing a ball, catching a ball, shooting a ball, whatever. So it took a little time for me to truly fall in love with the game like my brothers did. But I did get a first, front row seat to see how they approach the game. And it was something really special, even at a young age, so whenever they're in middle school and high school, and just how they kind of, sold out completely to the game, and how they approached it was really inspiring to me. And, as I got older, I started falling in love with that process more than anything. And then, of course, just getting to scratch that competitive itch in the meantime as well. But football, I'd say, definitely my brothers had always encouraged me to play. I give them all the credit for even being able to play it pretty decently, just because they, always they were really good. They were always kind of the stars there growing up in our hometown. And it was really fun to watch, though. But it wasn't even so much just what it showed on the scoreboard, but just who they were as humans. And I think football had a lot to do with that.
Have our first question from the audience from Jeremy Casada saying, did you start playing in middle school or younger than that, football?
Started playing right before middle school. So played Pop Warner, was with the Rogers Little Indians, and same team my brothers played for, same coaches and everything. So it was pretty cool. Grew up in a small town in Central Texas, just east of Temple, a little town called Rogers. But yeah, just before middle school. And like I said, I was just playing just to play, because I thought that's what you had to do. And that's what I watched my brothers do. And that's what, it was the thing to do. But like I said, as I grew older, I started really falling in love with the game, and just the deeper meaning behind it all. Not so much just throwing and catching a ball, but like you said, just everything you put in and everything that goes into being successful on a field. I will say, I think football is the ultimate team sport. Nothing to take away from any other sport. You do need everybody in each and every game to be successful, but football is just something really special. And I played every sport that you can think of, or I tried to at least. Wasn't much of a soccer player or anything like that, but as far as basketball, baseball, football, track, just try to do it all. But football was really where you really got to lean on your brothers, you got to lean on your teammates, you got to hold each other accountable, you got to have those uncomfortable conversations, and holding each other accountable. It's just kind of what goes with it. And I really fell in love with that process and the leadership side of it, and knowing that I played quarterback all my life. And that's a funny story too, because I fought it so much early. I didn't want to be a quarterback. I had a middle brother, Jacob. He played linebacker and running back, and he's very physical. And that's kind of, like I said, they kind of roughed me up growing up. And so I kind of wanted to do that.
You wanted to get your licks in.
Yeah, I wanted to get my licks in. And, but, I physically my stature didn't grow to be a linebacker or a running back. So then I kind of transitioned to the quarterback side. And that's kind of what I'm saying is just the leadership role, and knowing that your guys are counting on you and looking for you whenever, the going gets tough. And it's like, I always tried to embrace that. I always, the good, bad, and the ugly. You get the praises and you get the negative, and you get it all, right? But I don't think there's a better position to play in any sport. My personal opinion, and that's just what it was. And I fell in love with that, and I was excited to do it. And then it just started becoming my life, and.
Well, I don't want the audience to run away with all the questions.
Right.
Williams Hugo 28 saying, what is your favorite youth football memory? Since we're talking about the beginnings, your first engagements.
Favorite youth football memory. I'll tell you what ain't my favorite memory is we lost in the Toy Bowl, which was the Super Bowl of our Pop Warner League. That was a tough one. Favorite one, I think, was just getting to take that first snap live and where it mattered and it counted. Not at the house where you're just getting pummeled by your older brothers and all their friends. But I would say whenever the scoreboard finally lit up and it started counting, I would say that was a really cool feeling. Maybe even my first practice, to be honest with you, but really that first game, it was just really cool. It's, it made me think of all the great things my brothers did. And like I said, what they put into it, it wasn't just something we just showed up to do on game day. They showed me and molded me to that it was a 7-day-a-week job, and that's from recovery to studying the game to knowing what, like I said, I played quarterback. So knowing what each and every person's doing on the field at all times, from your offense to your defense to the special teams, and just fell in love with that process. And so I'd have to say, though, whenever it really started counting would probably be my favorite Pop Warner memory.
So I'm going to get into a moment that you may or may not remember. When and how did you find out that you were better than most at playing football? And how did that make you feel when you had that discovery?
That's a tough question. I don't know that I ever, and I'm not just saying, I don't know that I ever looked at it as that I thought I was, better than anybody out there.
Not everybody, just better than
no. And I'm only saying that to say, I think I just put my head down and grind, shout out to my parents for that. But, my mom, she instilled that in me, and my dad early as well. I'm speaking on my brothers, but really got to tip my hat to them because, we didn't really, we weren't praised at the house for just how we performed as far as stats or numbers. It was always like, did we empty the tank? Did we give everything we had to our team, or did we do everything in our power to make those around us better? That's how we were judged at the house. And so I know it sounds cliche, but it never was about, can I throw a ball better than the guy next to me, or can I do this? It was, I will say confident, like it was, I'm going to outwork the guy next to me, and that was the mentality we took. And that's the mentality my family's always tried to instill. And that's what they try to, the same way, all of them, even to my sister, she's a head softball coach, and it's a little different than football, but just the leadership qualities. And I think everything that came from that little household in East Bell County kind of helped make us who we are. And so I will say that my skill and our scoreboard at the house was a little different than wins and losses or yards or touchdowns. It was more or less, did you do everything in your power that you could to help make your team successful? And
well, I have another question related to that. That was a very surprising answer, because I think a lot of people would think that when I completed the 40-yard dash faster, when at a camp somewhere there were 12 of us at my position, and when 9 of them left and I was one of the last 3 standing there, that at some moment that would have happened for you.
Well, it is a thing, but like I said, it was never a priority for us. So it was always, I think, by checking the boxes that I told you that were preached in our household about giving everything you got, being the best teammate, being unselfish.
It came as no surprise that
I think if you do those things, that kind of comes with it, or that's at least how we were taught. And you can't always just keep score on the scoreboard, and that's in life. You know what I'm saying? The scoreboard doesn't tell the whole story all the time. It really doesn't. It's very important, and in our world, in our business, if you're not scoring more points than the other team, it's not good, and nobody likes that. But just speaking broadly and about myself, it was, I think if you take care of the things that I mentioned, the scoreboard takes care of itself. And my brother's always, my oldest brother, Justin, he's a offense coordinator at West Texas A&M. He's always preached that. And like I said, as much as I fought it at an early age, just not wanting to listen out to my brothers and everything like that, or my family, the older I got, it really started sinking in, and it was very fortunate to be around folks like themselves and help try to mold me into who I was, to become.
Well, this next question is something that I don't think a lot of people outside of football understand, because they don't hear it phrased this way. What can you explain the difference between being hurt and getting injured, and why is that difference, that distinction, important in football?
Absolutely. A huge difference, right? I will say this: when you check into camp, the first day of 2 days or the first day of camp, whatever it is you're in, everybody's hurt after that day. You're hurting. Something's going wrong, right? You're never going to be 100% again for the remainder of the season. And so that I always took pride in as well, and a huge shout out to my mom on this one. She's a tough one now. But it was always, if you can get up and play and you're not going to hinder the team or you're not going to hurt the team, well, then you better do it, and that's by all means, they better have to drag you off the field or the court or whatever it was you were involved in, because, being hurt is one thing. Everybody's hurting, and that's a mentality thing. You just got to lock in and, like you say, adapt and overcome. But being injured now, which I've experienced that as well, is a whole different ball game. That's physically unable to perform is how I see that. Having to be carried off the field, having to be drug off by your teammates. Now that's injured, and there's not much you can do about that. And so I will say there's a huge difference in being hurt and injured. And I think, you do see sometimes people get confused with the two. But I will say, if you signed up to play football, you're going to be hurt, and you're going to be hurt all the time. And it's just a matter of if you're cut out for it, and if that's truly what you want to, endure, but throughout your career. But I always, like I say, it was like a rush to me, and it was the norm, being in. If I wasn't hurting, I feel like I didn't play hard enough, and that just goes back to what was preached in the household is giving everything you got, like literally emptying the tank. Mom and brothers, dad, everybody always said, make them have to carry you off, give everything you got, make the people around you better. And that's kind of how we judged it.
Well, I'm going to get into those times of hurting here, but we'll start with the beginning of it all. Why did you continue playing football after high school?
I fell in love with it, man.
At that point, it was too late.
It was too late. I was too far deep in the game. And especially, we don't have to dive in it too much, but just how my high school career ended, not getting to play the last 8 games of my junior year.
Well, I kind of wanted to get into that if you want to get into it.
Yeah, we can touch. I mean, we ain't got enough time to really dive in.
I'll get into that with the next question.
Yeah.
It's going to come in the next question.
But I will say, yes, I was just too deep, too deep in the game. I felt I've given everything I had up to that point to the game, and I wanted to see how it'd work out, especially with my story and how high school ended for me, with transferring high schools and getting the suspension by the UIL just due to transferring. Didn't do anything wrong, just an unfortunate situation. But it was the people around me, the coaching staff there at Temple High School when I transferred in. A legend I got to always give credit to is Coach Bob McQueen. I think he's like the third most winningest high school football coach in the history of Texas high school football. He's a legend. But he kind of took me under his wing when all this went down. And at any moment, you talk about why I still played. I could have been done my junior year just knowing I wasn't going to get to play on Fridays. You know, what's the point in practicing every day, going through 2-a-days, hurting, all the things.
Well, let me get into that as the next question in line.
Go ahead.
When did you first question why you should continue to play football? And what was the answer?
Whenever my junior year, when I transferred into Temple, and I got the suspension and told I wouldn't be able to play varsity sports the remainder of that year. And then I ended up having to go. And so I just said, why? You know, there's nothing in my mind at the time. And that's what I'm going to build up to is in that moment, it was, you know, for self, like, why? I don't get no reward out of this. I don't get to play on games on Friday. You know, I don't get to do everything my brothers did. I don't get to try to, you know, maximize potential in football. And like I say, it took Coach Bob McQueen taking me in and showing me that it was bigger once again. And I'm repeating myself, but bigger than the scoreboard. It was bigger. Measurement of football wasn't so much just like we talked about throwing the ball, catching the ball and all that things. It was the discipline. It was the sacrifice. It was the adapt and overcome adversity. It was all the different things that he preached to me during that time that he said would help me in life, you know, outside when I left the football facility, how, you know, when life starts laughing, you know, you just got to be able to, you know, adapt and overcome. That's just what it is. And be selfless. And so I took that, and that was at a young age. And, you know, I'm 16 years old at the time, and not really understanding it then, but just bought in. And I did. I tried to be the best player that I could, the best teammate that I could each and every day, knowing I'm not playing on Friday, but every day was my game day. Every single day. And anybody that grew up with me and the coaching staff down there will tell you, I treated Monday through Sunday like my game day. From whether it was scout team reps or whatever, I wanted the defense to get the best look they possibly could. So therefore, when Friday rolled around, they had already seen it.
Well, I think there was somebody that was there that knows it checking in now. Randy Bain saying, "You're the man, John Bain." And
that's the man. That's my dad right there. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Appreciate you for everything. Yeah, so that's my dad, Randy.
Well, I'm really glad they tuned in, because there's going to be even more questions coming up here. I've got a couple more before we go and take a break at the end of the second quarter. So when was the next time you considered stopping, and why did you continue then?
I would say the next time I considered stopping was having a car accident my senior year. So after going through the whole junior year, senior year, practicing every day, treating it, you know, like it was my life, ended up having a car accident in May of my senior year. That was pretty rough. Ended up rolling my mom's Tahoe about 7 times and getting air flighted to the hospital, and was in a pretty bad way, even being told I may never walk again and such. And so that was really tough on me. And, you know, once again, I think without football, I don't know if I would have fought as hard as I did to get where I was, to where I am, you know, without football and the traits and everything it taught me. So I have to give credit to that. But in that moment, I was like, you know, I just was told I may never walk again. This is a complete blessing from God. And like, why play football? You know,
why'd you fight? Why'd you come back?
Once again, it's all I ever knew. You know, I didn't want to throw in the towel. I was told by the doctors after the full recovery and everything, and the mind blowing, you know, how many doctors came in and said, how, what, when, where, why, like, why is this a thing?
Yeah,
and
you
I
were
know
a case study.
Man, it was. And numerous times, but I give, you know, all the praise to the man above, the ultimate physician who has the last say. And that ain't always been easy either. You know, it's the prayer warriors around me. It's all the love shown and the support I've had that my entire life from all my peers and families and everything around good old Temple, Texas. But yeah, once I got cleared and said it was a potential that I could, I just said, why not? Like, how cool of a story could this be? And like I said, I always wanted to make it to the NFL, wanted to be that. That was the dream, right? That was what when you're laying in bed looking up at your ceiling fan as a kid, tossing the ball around. That's what you think about. And then the older you get, you realize that that's a very, very, very slim chance to happen. So I promise you, if you're not putting in every single thing and more, the chance of it happening ain't very high. So I just wanted to, I thought how cool of a story, and look how much I grew as a human, as a man, in those years. And I said, I could only imagine even greater things coming from it, not just on the field, but like I said, growing as the person that I'm supposed to be, and to be able to handle life's adversities and just different trials and such. So,
and the adversity didn't stop.
No.
We could ask again and again and again, because it happened again and again. But has the reason changed? You said your reason was it was football was all I ever known. Has the reason changed at any time with any of those adversities that you have faced, where you could have said enough?
Right. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little crazy on some of that, just because I never had any quit in me. It just ain't never been a thing. And once again, that's not on me. That's just the people I've been surrounded with my whole life, instilling that in me. But I will say it started changing a little bit, in a sense of the older I got, and seeing the support, man. If y'all knew, and those of y'all on that do know me and have known me my whole life and have been there and supported me, I hope you know how much I appreciate it, because that's what it started being for me, is just to prove those that believe in me right. That started being my motivation. Young, and you hear it all the time in different quotes and stuff, is, do it for the haters, do it for the doubters. And you're going to reach a point in life at some point. There's no substance there, right? Why would you do it for somebody that has no substance to what you got going, doesn't believe in you? I mean, it's cool. It's a cool slogan. And if that's what motivates some guys, I'm not taking anything away from that. I'm speaking on my own personal experience and what's kind of driven me throughout this whole process. And that's each and every person, each prayer that's been sent up for me, each round of applause that's happened, anybody that's ever shown support to me. I always wanted to prove them right. I did. And so I took that approach later in life, and it helped get me through a lot. So when you're facing adversity, when you're going through the other injuries and such, or whatever it may be, when life starts life, and I say it a million times, but you think, and you got actually something to pull from. And that's always been kind of my motivation. And I would have played until they kicked me out of the game, if I could have. But
kind of relates to the next question.
All right.
What would it take now for you to stop being involved in football on any level or in any way?
Man, that's a tough one.
Nothing is an acceptable answer.
Right now, I'd say nothing. But like I say, I will say, I got to say, though,
so why?
I'm big in prayer. I believe in God. If he opened doors that just so happened to not be in the football world, and I truly knew it, that would be a reason not to, because I've been running from him for a while in my life, and that don't ever work out good. I mean that wholeheartedly. So just trying to be a follower of Christ, and that would be my answer in as far as to ever get away from the game in some way, shape, or form, because like I said, it's something I've invested a lot of my time in. And it's something that I've gotten so much out of. And more importantly, it's something I want to give back to. It's something that has changed me as a human. It's changed me as just how I approach life, how I approach people, how I interact with people. And in whatever way, shape, whether it's a story I tell, whether it's a experience, whether it's some form of adversity that I've overcame, I hope it helps somebody. If it's just one person, I really that's my new fulfillment. That's what I want to get out of all of this. And so that's why it's hard for me to say I'll ever get out of the game, because I have a slew of things that I want to try to give back and teach, or whatever, help somebody in some way, shape, or form, because I've been fortunate enough to have those around me to learn from some really good ones, and in all aspects of the game. So,
and when we come back with our third quarter, we're going to get into the consequences of all of this engagement and commitment of Jonathan Bain. Hope you're enjoying the show as much as I am. We'll be back with the third quarter in just a moment.
For generations, the family recipes at Carrabba's Italian Grill have been bringing people together. From the sweet smell of our scratch-made sauce to our rich layers of lasagna, we believe food made with love leads to tables filled with laughter. Dine with us or order out at Carrabba's.com.
Dude, I'm fixing to set right on the corner here. Huh? You ain't got blood in your hands. That means you ain't having fun.
This is what it's come back to, yeah. Trouble, trouble, under these neon lights. A drink and doubles, keep the change, hold the ice. I'm on that honky tonk high, dancing with the devil tonight. Another and another and another and one more after that. Yeah, trouble, trouble. Under these
And welcome back to our third quarter with more questions and getting to know our coach of quarterbacks, special teams, and anything else here with the Gunslingers, Coach Jonathan Bain, Mark Yamaguchi chiming in. Coach Bain, definitely an inspiration and a professional. Yes, Mark, that's why I wanted to do this interview at this time with this guy talking about personal courage. I'm hoping you're catching the theme here. So I mentioned before we went on that break that we were going to talk about the consequences of your engagement with football and your commitment to it. First question I have here for you is, do you think the people you value most in your life are there? I mean, this is not the family because they were always there. Right. The people most in your life that you value are there because of your involvement in and commitment to football.
That's do I think the people I value most in my life? Yeah, outside the family, because they've been there through it all. And it's hard to say that because of football. I want to say because of what football, how it has molded me. And I would like to say some of the traits that football has taught me and those involved in the game. I want to say that's maybe what has brought them into my life or attracted them to me, but I don't want to just say it's strictly about football. And I've had these thoughts in my career, like when when I'm done, who am I now? When I was done, I didn't know any other, I'd always played ever since I was a kid. And, I always wondered, was it, just about football? And it wasn't, man. And how I learned that was through one of my injuries I, suffered here in the last couple of years was, all the outreach I got from everybody from across the nation never once was about a touchdown, was never once about how well I played in the game or a championship or anything statistical like that. It was the messages I received were more or less about the person I was, the inspiration maybe I gave somebody or something. That's just what it was. So I that's where I'm at with it. That's how a best way I can probably answer that question. I hope I did, but
okay,
that's a tough one.
Why would you encourage, I don't know if you would, based on our initial conversation, why would you encourage youth to ultimately commit to playing football over another team sport? If you would do that, because you mentioned you played them all, anything with ball in it that you could catch and throw.
Right.
But if you would, why would you?
It's back to what I said. It's the ultimate team sport. I don't know that, and nothing to take. I love all the sports and I respect all the sports and your craft and everything that goes into it. In each and every sport, you face your own adversity. It's just football to me. I was so addicted to that, just overcoming adversity, that it was like a thing, and that's why I encourage kids to play it. It's the ultimate team game. It's like the most selfless. To be successful in football, you have to be selfless. You have to be it's bigger than you. It has to be bigger than you. And that to me is life, right? That's a job. That's whether you're working, in the hospital, or that's whether you're working as a bricklayer, or as a carpenter, or, you're the president of the United States, wherever it is, you need the people around you. You do. And that's the only way you're going to be successful. And that's the way the best football teams are. You can be really good. You can have some really good players. You can win some ball games. But to be great and to really make a run at it all, you gotta be able to count on your brothers and the people around you. And that's where I think football, the biggest lessons, and then overcoming it all, right? So when you're down and out, it's your brother picking you up. I mean, what better feeling, that you're not really out here alone, and a lot of people feel that way, and it's totally understandable. But like the game of football, like it's just reaching out, using your resources, using the people around you to help you get through whatever it is, because you're going to do the same thing for them. It's about football we're talking about, but like I say, football is a direct correlation, I think, to life in a different way, right? You're not just tackling the person you see when you walk out the door. I'm not dodging defensive ends whenever I go to the gas station, but I hope y'all get what I'm saying with the adversity thing, and just overcoming things is all I'm saying, and how to handle uncomfortable situations, because anybody out there knows life's a little uncomfortable at a lot of the times. But in those uncomfortable times is really when you grow and who you find out who you are. And so it took me a little bit to really embrace that and love that aspect of it. But it's the truth. And what better? I mean, winning and everything, roses and dandelions, that's all fun and fine and dandy. But how do you really grow in that, and how do you really get to test your character and test who you are as a person if you're not going through, the trials and tribulations? So that's why I would recommend people to play football, or kids. I do know it's a dangerous sport. I do. But if you just got to practice good habits, and they try to hook you up with the best equipment. But once again, for me, it was more of the life lessons I got out of it.
Well, the next question you kind of touched on, but not really previously. What do you wish to leave as your legacy, your personal legacy to the game of football? What would you like that legacy to be?
Just a warrior, just somebody that never quit, somebody that never wavered, that always just tried to, stare adversity in the face and overcome in any way possible. Honestly, that would be the biggest compliment I could ever receive. I do appreciate what the game has done for me. But if I were to say to leave a mark, I just always, and I hope my teammates know that I loved each and every one of them, and I literally was willing to give my life for them. And that's what made it so special, something that you could be so committed to, that kind of stuff was a real thought in my head. Like, I know it's a dangerous sport. I know there's consequences to this. I know there's consequences later in life once you're done with football, and as time goes on and the body gets beat up and the head and everything. But I just hope that if I were to leave anything, it would be somebody that just, no matter what, no matter the situation, was going to try to stand 10 toes and give everything I got, to help the team out in any way, shape, or form. So I hope that's what I left as a player, and I hope that's what I leave as a coach. But yes, sir, that'd probably be what I would want to leave. So.
Well, and we also know that football is going to leave a legacy on you. What about football do you find is carrying over into every other part of your life while you were playing and now as a coach? How does football keep showing up in your life?
I think that's what I've been touching on. Just being able to handle adversity. I mean, as simple as it sounds, and I've been repeating myself, but that's really what it is. And I'm so appreciative of that. And just, all the different things where your true character has to be revealed, and in life, like doing things when nobody's watching because it's the right thing to do, just all the different core values you're taught in the game just naturally. But every single day, every one of y'all, everybody, yourself included, everybody's got a story. Everybody's been through adversity, some adversity different than others, but adversity is adversity. So at the end of the day, just being able to not run from problems, just try to take them head on, and trying to find the best way to get through them and to be better from it, whether that's wins, whether that's losses. The old saying, it ain't losses, it's lessons. That's a real thing for me. I do keep score though. I do hate losing, man. I'm a horrible loser, but my mom always told me, you show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser. So that always stuck in my head. Shout out to my mama. But no, really though, that's kind of where we're in life now, you know, outside of playing the game. That's where I'm seeing it come into my life daily.
Randy Bain chiming in saying, I think it's the good Lord, but the God Lord works too. Has him doing what he does. Indeed.
Appreciate you, Dad. Yes, sir. I think he meant the good Lord. Sometimes, you know, the texting gets a little funny. That's Randy for you right there. He's the man.
But he owns it.
There he is.
But he owns
can't
it.
Spell. So going and can't spell. It's all good. We know what you mean, Dad. Love you and I appreciate you.
And I'm so glad you were here to watch this, Randy, and to listen to this particular show.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for the sacrifices. For real, I appreciate it. And to all the parents out there for what you do for your kids. As kids, you don't realize it, right? You're going to practice, you're doing this, but mom and dad, they're running a rat race life. They're working, you know, day in and day out to provide, much less run you to practice with, you know, all the kids running them here, there, and
you
everywhere.
weren't the only child.
No. I was no. And very involved in a lot of stuff. But yeah, so shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all and everything y'all have done for me.
I had a last question, but I think it'd be repeating it. What opportunity could you imagine that appeals so much to you that you'd consider leaving your active involvement in football entirely to pursue it? I think we answered that if the Holy Spirit descended upon you and gave you a very strong message and a whole bunch of saying this is where you need to be right now. You jump in and grab that.
I would.
I
ain't gonna fight with the big man upstairs anymore.
Yeah, the last guy that wrestled with God ended up with a broken hip. So, and you've already had enough broken bones in your life.
Done enough breaking in my life.
We're not going to do that.
Absolutely.
Well, that'll get us to the end of our third quarter, a very special edition of Branded, all about football, personal courage, and Jonathan Bain. We'll be back with our fourth quarter after this message brought to you by South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital.
We all need hot water. Some of us need more than others. So it's a good thing that State has a wide range of tough commercial-grade water heaters for your home. From standard models to high-efficiency and tankless models, we've got you covered, no matter where you live, what you do, or who started it. To install a State water heater in your home,
Call John Wayne today or visit us at johnwayne.com.
Welcome to the Vegas.
Must be that time of the year again where we work hard and we play hard and eat good pizza.
Hey Gunslingers, come try Matanga's, voted best pizza in San Antonio. We are family and deeply invested in our community. After this game, come find a Matanga's near you. Guns up, slices up.
Welcome to South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital, an outpatient center. Step into our operating rooms, where highly skilled surgeons work hand in hand with specialized technicians. Our dedicated team has extensive experience and expertise in spine and surgical procedures. Our commitment to patient safety is unwavering. We understand that your well-being is at the heart of everything we do. South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital, an outpatient center where expertise, longevity, and state-of-the-art technology come together for your health.
And welcome back to our fourth quarter, our time with Jonathan Bain in a show all about football, which ultimately is all about personal courage and the personal courage it takes to play it. Brian Jeffrey Barton chimed in earlier, said, "Hi, John. I continue to pray for you and Fuller as you make a difference in the lives of your players. Love you, brother."
Yeah, man. Brother Brian, he's a special man. So in my first year ever in the arena game, Coach Fuller signed me down to Richmond, Virginia with the Richmond Raiders, and Brother Brian was our team chaplain. And man, what a special guy. To this day, I can say through all of my years of playing, don't want to talk about how many that is. That might date me a little bit, but no, every single week
It's available on Wikipedia.
I know I can count on Brother Brian to send a wonderful message to me. Coach Fuller as well. You saw you mentioned Coach Fuller. Just a prayer, a scripture, a quote, and just so encouraging. I hope you know how important you are to me, Brother Brian, and everything you've done for my life, even if I may have not told you. But I do appreciate you and love you, and you keep making a difference in everybody's life as well, because you dang sure made one in mine.
Another comment here from Christopher Curran. I don't recall seeing Mr. Curran's name before, so thank you very much, Mr. Curran, for joining the show.
Absolutely.
Says his first day at high school freshman football practice started with him playing catch with a teammate he'd never met just before practice started. 43 years later, he and I are still best friends.
Amen. Ain't that cool? That's just part of the game, right? That's the type of stuff I'm talking about, because even my best friends to this day are former teammates of some sort. So yeah, it's a really cool thing, right? Once again, you get out there, you start sacrificing together, you start just going through things and overcoming things together and leaning on each other for wherever you need them. And that's what friendship is all about. And I love to hear that 43 years later. That's really cool. That's a testimony, just because you know how it is in life. You know, life moves on and you grow farther apart. But that's what this game will do for you too, is you grow them brothers, them lifelong brothers, whether you like it or not. Funny quote, coach used to always tell us, you don't have to like everybody, but you got to respect everybody. And mine was always, I didn't like everybody at all times, but I loved them. You know what I mean? And that kind of trumped the, get you out of your feelings when maybe you didn't like what they were doing or whatever. But that's when it comes to like correcting and trying to, I guess, hold each other accountable, is you're going to be in them uncomfortable conversations where, you're going to rub each other the wrong way or whatever. But if you're doing it out of love and respect, then that's what it's all about. So
Jeremy Cazada, one of our interns, asked, do you see yourself coaching at another level, high school, college, professionally, outside of at a higher level or different? Do you see yourself coaching at another level at any point?
I do see it. Absolutely. Once again, I'm big on be where your feet are. So I love this game. The indoor/arena game has been so wonderful to me. And this has been my most recent game and experience in the craft I've been trying to work on and master. And so it's fun to be a part of this, and shout out to the Gunslinger Nation, the ownership, just bringing me on board and giving me this opportunity. I hope y'all know how truly appreciative I am of this and what it's done for me in my life in these, first 4 months of my coaching career. But shout out to them and
what a beginning.
And right. But no, yeah, thank you for everything. But yes, I will say I do see myself coaching maybe at some other level sometime, but then I'm gonna ride this till the wheels fall off for this deal and enjoy each and every day. And like I say, whatever comes from this or whatever is in the future, I'll be, more than happy to embrace it. But right now I just want to take care of my day-to-day life and try to put in everything I can and just see where it takes me. So I don't ever want to look too far ahead, because when you do that, you wind up disappointed or whatever, but if you're, once again, back to whenever I was a youth, if you're punching the clock daily, trying to make those around you better, trying to put everything you got into something, I'm pretty certain good things come from that. And it's just something that I always live by. So whatever that means, that's where I hope it takes me.
Well, Mark Yamaguchi is ready to put us back, as you say, be where your feet are now. What do you see for the remainder of this season?
What I just said, attacking every day, trying to win the day, trying to be better than we were yesterday. I know it's a very upsetting season, especially for a fan. I'm a fan of the Cowboys, so I definitely understand that. But no, really though, it's been a lot of adversity this year. There's no excuses for any of it. You play the card you're dealt, and you got to make the most of it. And there's areas that we need to improve on as a whole. And that's things we're doing as a coaching staff daily, is trying to just make those around us better. And that's what it's all about. I'm not here to make any promises as far as wins, losses, this and that. All we're asking these guys is to just stay in the fight, compete. And it's just about executing at a high level. So do your part, whatever that is, to help make this team better. And once again, it's bigger than yourself. So you got to find something bigger than you to do this for, or it's never going to work out. So my expectations for the remainder of this season are to get a group of guys, 21 guys that want to compete their tails off, represent this brand, the Gunslinger Nation, to what it is, and just be just be the best versions of themselves each and every day. That's all we can do, and once again, let the scoreboard take care of itself. But we know there's a lot of work to be done, and we're putting in the work. There's no magic wand we can wave to make it happen. It's just all about putting it in, and a lot of times you get out what you put in. So just want to make sure everybody in the whole part of this is doing their part. So that's would be my expectations for the remainder of the season.
Well, do you have any reactions, comments, or questions you'd like to ask the audience or ask me, or just comments in general to what'd you think about this and the whole thing about football, and why football is worthy of celebrating and worthy of buying tickets, worthy of going to games, worthy of being in the stands? Is it all that?
Yeah, no, it's a special game, especially this one, the indoor game. If you ain't ever been there, first of all, shout out to all the season ticket holders and everybody that purchases a ticket or tells a friend about us, tells, purchases merchandise. Man, it is much appreciated. It's a very special game. And it also, the ownership, like I say, the front office, I get to see not only on the coaching side, but what each and every person does in this organization to make this thing go. And it is really special. It's not a big group at all. It's a group of people, though, that are selfless. Like I keep preaching that football had taught me, but it is a bunch of selfless individuals that are doing something for something bigger than their self. And they deserve this more than anybody. They really do. And so by showing up and supporting, I will say, as much as we may have struggled on the scoreboard and our record being 3-8, you won't find a better show than you will here at the Freeman Coliseum on a home game night. These people work their tails off. I mean, sleepless nights, are fully invested in this, from ownership to the front office, I'm speaking. And they deserve to have you in the stands, and you want to see it. It ain't just begging you to come to a game. I promise you won't be disappointed. We're working on the football side of things as far as winning games and making it exciting there. Still very exciting games. We've been in every game that we've, lost this year. Just a few plays here and there end up costing you. But as far as just the show and the experience you're going to have, I've been around this game a long time, and nobody does it better than the Gunslinger Nation and those involved in the front office and ownership. So I appreciate them. I know we do as a football team appreciate them, but you as fans and supporters, I hope you do as well, because what they put into this is strictly for you. It's bigger than for their self, so come enjoy the experience. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Orlando Pereira saying, first-year season ticket holder. My 14-year-old son wants me to get some for next year already.
Right on, Orlando. Hey, I'm the man to talk to. Let's get you set up. That's what it's all about. Like I say, we're 3-8, but the experience is still awesome. And we appreciate that. The diehard fans that win, lose, or draw, they're still behind us. But I promise you, nobody hates losing more than we do. And we're turning over every stone we can to try to make this right. But by also doing that, we want to represent the Gunslinger brand exactly the way it's supposed to be represented. So it's kind of like a double, you know what I mean? So we're trying to check all the boxes with that. But more importantly, we want to put a product out there that each and every one of you are proud of, both on and off the field. So thank you, Orlando, and look forward to talking to you here soon about getting you set up with your new season tickets for 2026.
Speaking of accountability, you talked about hard conversations and accountability. Junior Cervantes, the head of our chain crew team, wanted to ask, what do you think of the chain and ball crew? Is there anything we have to work on? Now, you got to appreciate a guy who
Absolutely.
asks for feedback and is willing to accept criticism and isn't just looking for praise.
That just seems to be the theme with everybody involved in this thing. You know what I mean? Just always trying to get better, not afraid of some coaching. I'm using that term, but teaching, you know what I mean? Not afraid of some constructive criticism, because we're all out here for the same goal, or at least I hope we are. That's the whole mission, right? Is everybody involved in this, from ownership down to the janitor, down to the coaching, to the players, to the equipment man, everybody. I mean, everybody in this thing needs to be on the same accord. And that's a prime example right there, Junior. But y'all been amazing, man. I appreciate what you do. I really do. And y'all help make the game go smooth. Without y'all, there's no chain. So we appreciate you. You got a huge part in what we do. And thank you for that question. But as far as right now, I say, man, y'all been kicking butt, and we can always get better at something, right? But man, I have no complaints with you.
Monica Martin of Sports Coast to Coast chiming in and asking a question I'm not sure we can really answer much about. How are you going about playing against the Strike Force again, a team which the Gunslingers have defeated this year?
Try to approach just like we do each and every week. That was a big win for us here at home. If you were there, I mean, that was one of the most exciting games I've been a part of in a really long time. But they're a really good football team, well coached, got some really good players. It's just week in and week out. We don't want to so much look at who we're playing. It's just we want to make sure we are doing our part. We want to execute on all cylinders on ours and let the rest take care of itself. So I will say what we preach throughout the week is more doing our job, doing your 1/8 or what, there's different ways people can word it, but there's 8 on the field at once. So doing your 1/8 to make it happen. And so, we appreciate that win, but that win means nothing going into Saturday, and nothing else moving forward in this season means nothing without winning this game on Saturday. So that's I appreciate the question, but yeah, we're definitely going to try to approach that just like we do each and every week.
Monica Martin also chiming in, without the chain crew, there are no first downs.
Amen, Monica. Got to have that's exactly right. We'd be just out there lost. So appreciate the chain crew. Yeah, absolutely.
Season ticket holder and big, basically core fan, a regular, you could say, Mark Yamaguchi, saying, we embrace the whole experience and believe in our Gunslinger Nation, especially our beautiful 6-shooters. And that is a perfect transition for me to say the 6-shooters camp is coming up on June 28th. They have a location at Northwest Vista College. Details are currently on the Gunslingers website. And another event that is also coming up here a little bit later, and maybe you can talk about this a bit, Coach, the Gunslingers football camp coming up. That's Friday, June 20th. That would be this Friday coming up, correct?
Absolutely. Get out here. Let's have some fun. I know the team's excited to be able to work with all the youth. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Just let them get out here, run around with a great group of guys, guys that care, guys that are invested in our youth, that want to see our youth succeed, and whatever that may be. If it's a story they hear from them, if it's a drill they learn, if it's just a simple handshake. Me as a former kid, you never know how big of an impact you can truly have at these things, and what one of these kids can take from it. So we're excited about that coming up on Friday. I know everybody's juiced on the team to get out there and work with our youth here in San Antonio, and I think it's going to be a really special day. I think the kids are going to love it. I know the guys are going to love it, and you can have a really good time and come check out our Gunslinger Nation facility out here that the ownership worked so hard to put together. So yeah, get on it. We're looking forward to seeing you out there. If you ain't signed up, get signed up. You don't want to miss out on this.
Well, I think that's going to do it. Any final comments before we wrap this one up and call it a win for the Gunslingers here on Branded tonight?
No, not other than just appreciate you. Appreciate everybody chiming in. Appreciate everybody that supports what we got going on. Thanks again to the ownership and everybody in Gunslinger Nation for providing this opportunity for us. Look forward to seeing everybody out at our next home game, I believe July 5th.
Yes.
So come on out, support. Like I said, we're working our tails off to try to give y'all something to be proud of on the football side of things, but you won't be disappointed in the show you see that they put on game day. So appreciate all y'all again. Thanks for anybody that's ever reached out to me and shown me support. Much love for everybody.
Well, this wraps up our show for June 18th, 2025, brought to you by South Texas Spine and Surgical Hospital. Make sure you've done all the social media things because it helps the brand so much. I want to thank Coach Bain for coming on and co-hosting again on this episode. I think it was a very special episode, and I think a lot of people need to hear the message of Coach Jonathan Bain about what football is and how important football is for the American way. At least I feel so. And as always, folks.
One more thing. Shout out Ralph. I'm sorry. I did not even, but Ralph, thank you for all you do, putting this on, keeping the people engaged, kind of telling them what's going on here. It is not overlooked. I promise. We do appreciate what you do and the support you show by punching the clock daily to try to be better at your craft. I don't know how many times you've asked me personally, hey, what can I do better? Hey, what do you think I can do this? And that's such a cool, like I say, it plays into the chain crew mentioned it. It's what we do, and that's the standard here.
It's all about accountability.
It is. And so all that to say, thank you, Ralph. Shout out Ralph. He's the man, and we appreciate him and all he does for Branded and everything. So appreciate you, Ralph.
And as always, keep your guns up.
Guns up.
Good night, everybody.